I wanted to go ahead and give us a little bit of a personnel slash tendencies. I mean, I'm not going to be breaking down film for us, but I'm going to go ahead and give us just a little Illinois preview of their resume and just their personnel preview. So they are a 2-3 football team right now heading into the Nebraska game. They have losses to Penn State, to Purdue, and to Kansas, and they have wins against Toledo and FAU. So Illinois is a 3.5-point favorite. I really think that's probably due to the fact that it's a home game for Illinois and away game for Nebraska. It really just feels like a pick'em game, but I have to say, especially based on the stat lines I'm about to read, it really does feel a little weird that they're favored over us. But I mean, when you're Nebraska, no Big Ten game is a gimme game. No game is a gimme game. But so yeah, okay, let's give you the preview of their personnel. Offense for Illinois. So pretty much their biggest weapon on offense is a guy named Isaiah Williams. He's a wide receiver who has 446 yards receiving so far with 30 catches, which averages out to 15 yards per catch. So that's pretty good pretty much no matter who you are, especially at this stage of the season, to already be on your way to 1,000 yards pretty much because we have 7 games left. Most people have 7 games left. So their quarterback is Luke Altmaier. Luke Altmaier is a decent runner. He has 3 rushing touchdowns for the year. And he's dual threat because his passing stats so far this year are pretty good, especially for a Big Ten West team. He has 1,076 yards on the year, and he has a 65% completion rate, which is, I mean, really good. I mean, you'd wonder with those stats, you'd wonder why they are 2-3. Well, here you go. His touchdown interception ratio is 5-7. 5 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. So obviously hasn't been as efficient in that stat column. So, but the O-line is really the weak link of this offensive unit. The O-line has allowed 18 sacks so far this year. They're 125th overall in pass blocking. So that's even worse than Nebraska, I think. Yeah, that's worse than Nebraska, so we can hang our hat on that. And they have a running back, Reggie Love. He's an efficient running back, 5.6 yards per carry so far this year, and he has 1 touchdown, a 19-yard touchdown run. At first, you'd think, oh, he only has 1 touchdown. That touchdown was pretty impressive. Illinois, even this year, has been a little bit more of a passing-oriented team, so let's look at their stat rankings on offense. They have the 70th total offense in the country. Nebraska is the 93rd ranked offense in the country. They are 118th in third down conversion rate. Nebraska is 82nd in that category. They are 60th in passing offense, that's yards per game, and Nebraska is 125th in that. I mean, we've gone over this. We don't have very many attempts per game. That's why we're 125th. But 60th in passing offense for Illinois, that is kind of solid, especially for an Illinois team that I don't think they were there last year. I'd have to look it up, but they're 83rd in passing efficiency. Nebraska 73rd. Okay, so they have the 78th best rushing offense in the country. Nebraska is the 13th best rushing offense in the country. So you wonder, okay, so there's got to be another stat that they're like, it's like opposite, you know, like they're high ranked and we're low ranked. Okay, so I found one. They are the 19th best red zone offense at this point. So when they get in the red zone, they're pretty good at making it count. And Nebraska is the 106th best red zone offense in the country. So a pretty good difference there. But yeah, they are more dynamic, I'd say, than Bielema offenses have been before. But their offensive line is really suspect, and they don't have Chase Brown anymore, who was an outstanding back for them and usually got 30 to 35 carries a game. So that's a big hole in their offense. Okay, so let's move on to defense for Illinois. So the main guy on their defense is a defensive lineman, tackle, Jerzon Newton. Jerzon Newton is going to be a first-round defensive line pick, probably, even though his production has sort of gone down this year so far. But that's probably because the defensive unit overall is not as good this year as they were last year. The unit is greatly diminished because of the losses in the secondary to the NFL draft. Chase Brown's brother was, I believe, a first or second. I mean, he was a draft pick. They had a bunch of draft picks back there that they lost. So Newton is really the show for the defense over there, and it's going to be a test for our offensive line. Newton has 15 QB hurries so far this year, which is a pretty good stat line. And here's some defensive stats overall for their defense. They're the 110th best total defense. Nebraska is the 36th, so wide discrepancy there. They are 107th in sacks with 7. Nebraska is 29th with 14. and they're the 109th best rushing defense. Nebraska is 14th. Let's go ahead and send it off to Blake. He's going to give us some keys to the game.
Thanks, Brooks. This game is really interesting to see if the eye test actually works this year on this team. It is really kind of disappointing to see some of the plays we make and really awesome to see some of the other ones. So it's going to be really interesting to see us play a team in Illinois that I have not been impressed with so far. They've let up a lot of points against some mediocre teams, but some good teams. Their offense has looked, I venture to say, even more pitiful than ours. I know you highlighted some things there that are really big problems. So one of my keys to the game is if we have to put the ball in Altmaier's hands to win, he's not going to do it. The dude is a turnover machine. He can definitely have some good games. He had one a couple weeks ago against FAU. Again, it's FAU, so take that with a grain of salt. But if he has to win you the game, then it's going to be a really long day. They don't have the weapons and the offensive firepower to really keep up with a good defense, and their defense has really taken a step back since they lost their defensive coordinator, who's now the head coach at Purdue, Ryan Walters, and he brought something into that defense that is just they haven't been able to recapture it this year so far. Now they're playing Nebraska, and they're not playing 90s Nebraska, they're not playing 2000s Nebraska. They're not even playing early 2010s Nebraska. They are playing first-year rule Cornhusker football. So it is going to be really, really easy for them to stop us on offense. It just should. You have a quarterback on the other side, who's my second key is how is Harburg going to take care of the ball? So far, he's done a very good job of taking care of the ball outside of a fumble snap here, which he didn't lose. A couple ones I'm forgetting in that tip interception last week. But for the most part, that's the biggest difference between him and Sims. Sims has shown that really explosive play ability, but he's also shown a carelessness for the ball that Harburg just hasn't shown. And he's also shown some explosive ability in both the running, and he's made some very good reads. Whether he's able to get the ball there on that remains to be seen, but he's making good reads. So I will be very interested to see how Harburg plays in his first hostile environment as a starting quarterback, because it does sound like he's going to start again, and we'll see where he's going from there. So my second key is taking care of the ball with Heinrich Harburg at quarterback. If we do that, we're going to be able to drive on this defense, and it's going to be a really long day for Illinois, who's struggled to really stop anything on defense. My third key is the line play, but on the defensive side of the ball. They got kind of manhandled last week by a really good Michigan line, and they're definitely not going to go against that same caliber of offensive line this week. So I would really like to see them disrupt again and kind of get back to the style of football they were playing with their hair on fire. Very fun to watch them play defense, and I really want that to start on the defensive line. And, I'll just throw one more in there. I do think there's been a little bit more emphasis this week on Tommy Hill, and I want to just kind of lay it out there. I mean, we saw him run a couple routes in the last week, and, he was open a lot. So the quarterbacks and the line needs to give the quarterback enough time to get the ball downfield, and the quarterback has to make that read and trust. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see him play against a defense that's given up some explosive plays, and see if he can kind of pull a Trey Palmer and have a coming out party against Illinois. But those are my 3 keys to victory. Go Big Red.
Please go ahead and like that video and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate the support that we get from you guys, and we're hoping to continue growing. Blake and I enjoy talking about Nebraska football on here, and we hope to get more and more support as we continue to grow and as the Huskers continue to get better. So give us that support and catch our podcast on all platforms. Also, subscribe to us on Twitter, or X as the people want to call it, at @CHusker_corner, and go follow our Instagram, Cornhusker Corner. Thanks for watching.